The barrage of bullets sending 2 people to the hospital, and it lands a rapper in jail. 7 Sheldon Fox with the exclusive.
Bruce Shy is back in trouble raided and violated just 3 months after getting released. What was supposed to be a fresh start turned into another full-blown disaster almost immediately. Behind all the first day out celebrations, the Memphis rapper was moving reckless, making decisions that practically guaranteed his freedom will be snatched right back. And let's be honest, the feds never lost sight of him. After he dissed them on his first day out track, which has now racked up over 25 million views, they were already watching his every move. So the truth behind his downfall isn't shocking at all. It was predictable. Today, we're breaking down exactly how he fumbled the bag and threw away his second chance. This was supposed to be his comeback. Instead, federal agents ran up in his spot and hit him with a parole violation. And before anyone says this came out of nowhere now, from day one, he was moving like he didn't care about his freedom. At a certain point, it started to look like he was begging to go back. For those who haven't been keeping up, Pooh Shiesty came home after serving just under 5 years of an original 8-year sentence. The feds wanted him gone for 20, but his lawyers managed to get that time reduced. Still, early release on federal parole means you're on thin ice every single day. Federal parole is no joke curfews, constant check-ins, strict rules. One mistake and it's over. But he was moving like nobody was watching. Remember when he was on Ben Da Don's livestream and his parole officer called asking where he was? He was supposed to be home for curfew but was still out in the streets and then lied to his PO on camera.
Hello?
And the crazy part is, this wasn't a one-time slip. Pooh Shiesty has been moving like he was untouchable from the moment he touched down, posting non-stop on social media, flexing jewelry and luxury cars, still talking street talk like he wasn't technically still a federal inmate on supervised release. But this goes way deeper than just missing curfew. Pooh Shiesty has been telling on himself through his music. In one lyric, he straight up says, "Out on paper with a fully ARP sitting on my counter." And in the streets, everyone knows Pooh doesn't rap cap. When he puts something in his bars, that's his real life. For anyone unfamiliar, an ARP is a fully automatic weapon, something you absolutely cannot possess while on federal parole. Here's the real kicker. He wasn't even living freely. As part of his release conditions, he was placed in a halfway house. And for people who don't know how that works, early release from federal prison doesn't mean you just go home. You are sent to a transitional facility where every move is monitored. You sleep there every night, follow strict rules, and slowly earn limited freedom over time. Halfway house life comes with serious restrictions. There are curfews. You can't just pop out whenever you want. You need permission to travel, permission to work certain jobs, and you're not allowed to associate with other felons or known gang members. The entire purpose is to reintroduce you to society while keeping you under tight supervision, and when it comes to federal supervision, there's zero room for error. State parole might give some leeway, but federal parole officers don't play. They can search your living space at any time, hit you with random drug tests, and violate you for a single mistake. One wrong move, and you're going right back to finish your sentence. For someone like Pooh Shiesty, allegedly a leader within Chopper Gang, his supervision was always going to be even stricter. The feds don't just watch individuals, they watch entire networks. Who you're around, where you go, how you move, it's all being monitored. And let's be clear, none of this came out of nowhere. This wasn't his first run-in with the law, and his history shows a pattern of ignoring consequences. The case that originally sent him to prison involved serious street activity. Back in 2020, Pooh Shiesty was linked to multiple incidents that caught federal attention. The main case stemmed from a robbery where he met up with someone, attempted to rob them, and ended.
Now, in just one station, surveillance cameras showing a new view of a violent shootout in a parking lot of a South Florida apartment building. The barrage of bullets sending 2 people to the hospital, and it lands a rapper in jail.
According to court documents, this incident wasn't random, it was part of a calculated sequence of events.
And it lands a rapper in jail. 7 Sheldon Fox with the exclusive.
Rhode Island says you're wanted. With it.
Mr. Williams, you were arrested for pursuant to an arrest.
It was part of a broader pattern of violent behavior the feds were already monitoring. And that still wasn't the end of it. In a separate incident, he allegedly opened fire at a club after his money was taken, leaving a security guard who was simply doing his job shot.
Popular rapper arrested. He's accused of shooting a security guard at a South Florida gentleman's club and will remain behind bars. A judge denied bond for 21-year-old Lontrell Williams.
Real talk: when you're moving like that in the streets, you're not just putting yourself at risk. You're putting innocent people in danger, people who are just trying to make an honest living. According to prosecutors, the federal government built its case around multiple incidents, including armed robbery, assault with a deadly weapon, and conspiracy charges. They painted Pooh Shiesty as someone who allegedly turned to violence immediately instead of treating it as a last resort. The prosecution argued that he posed a serious threat to the community and pushed hard for the full 20-year sentence they originally wanted. His defense team fired back, pointing to his young age, his growing potential as an artist, and the possibility that he could still be rehabilitated. In the end, they succeeded in getting the sentence reduced to 8 years, still heavy time, but far better than the 2 decades he was staring down. When Pooh Shiesty finally came home, everything was lined up perfectly for him. His first day out record was doing massive numbers. He was collecting plaques, pulling up in foreign cars, and even being linked to high-profile names like India Love. He had a real opportunity to turn his life around and build a legitimate empire off his music. That first day out track wasn't just another song, it was a statement. He was telling the world he was back, locked in, and ready to take over the rap game. The record pulled in millions of views, and for a brief moment, it looked like he might actually become one of those rare comeback stories of artists who learned from his mistakes and made his second chance count. But behind the scenes, the streets were telling a different story. People close to him said he never fully let go of that street mentality. He was still around the same circle, still talking the same talk, and still moving like nothing could touch him. And that's exactly where federal parole becomes a problem. Under supervised release, everything is monitored: your social media, your music, your videos, the people you associate with, and the places you go. When you're rapping about automatic weapons while under federal supervision, those lyrics aren't just entertainment anymore. They can be treated as evidence. What really shocked people was how the news first broke. Ben Don revealed it live on his stream. During the broadcast, he received a phone call about the raid. You could hear the disbelief in his voice as he realized the feds had come through and taken everything. Ben tried to keep things quiet at first, but by then, the streets were already buzzing. I in the clip that later went viral.
Remember that bet when Buddy had this right here? And I told you, I was like, he going to jail?
Yeah.
He's going back.
The way Ben said it made one thing clear: this wasn't completely unexpected. People who were familiar with Pooh Shiesty's situation saw this coming from a mile away. But things took an interesting turn not long after that clip went viral. Ben suddenly tried to walk it back on Twitter, posting, "I understand you'll gotta get your money, but that's Kappa Zeph Cheyenne have a MF thing to do with that call." Whether he was trying to deflect attention, protect his homie, or calm the internet down is up for debate, but either way, the truth eventually surfaced. Because raids like this don't just happen overnight. Federal agents don't move randomly or emotionally. They take weeks, sometimes months, building a case, tracking movements, gathering evidence, and waiting for the right moment to strike. Based on what's been reported, they pulled up to his spot, found exactly what they were looking for, and took him into custody on the spot. Not long after that, every major blog began reporting the same headline: Pooh Shiesty was back in federal custody. DJ Academics later confirmed it by pulling up federal prison records, revealing his real name, Lantrell Donnell Williams Jr., his register number, and a new projected release date, April the 11th, 2026. That date matters. That was his original release date before he was granted early release on parole. And this situation isn't about one small slip-up. It's about a paternal pattern that suggests Pooh Shiesty never truly took his second chance seriously. Since the day he came home, the streets have been talking about how he was moving, and none of it sounded like someone focused on staying free. For those who don't fully understand how federal parole works, here's the reality. When you're released early from federal prison, you're still serving your sentence, just doing it in the community instead of behind bars. You're under strict supervision, curfews, mandatory check-ins, no weapons, no association with known felons, and absolutely zero tolerance for criminal activity. Break any one of those rules, and you don't get warnings. You don't get second chances. You go straight back to finish your original sentence, and that's exactly how fast a second chance can disappear. The fact that his release date remains April 11th, 2026, the original end of his sentence, strongly suggests this wasn't about new charges, but a parole violation. If he had picked up fresh charges, he'd likely be facing additional time stacked on top of that sentence. Instead, it appears the Fed simply decided to make him serve out the remaining time on his original 8-year bid. That raises a real question. What actually triggered the raid? Was it lyrics referencing automatic weapons? Repeated curfew violations? Associations with known gang members? Or did agents uncover something during a routine compliance check? Looking at the timeline, it's clear this didn't happen overnight. The feds likely have been documenting multiple violations over time as curfews caught live on Ben's stream, lyrics that raise red flags, possible surveillance linking him to prohibited associates. This wasn't one mistake. It was a pattern, but this story is bigger than just one rapper. It highlights a cycle that continues to pull young black men back into the system. When you come from the streets, fully separating from that life isn't easy, especially when that same lifestyle is what made you famous. The music industry doesn't make it any easier. Labels push authenticity, fans crave street narratives, and social media rewards reckless behavior. That leaves artists trapped between protecting their freedom and protecting their brand. And in Pooh Shiesty's case, his entire image was built on street credibility, the gang talk, the gun bars, the robbery stories. That image is what made him hot. But under federal supervision, you're not allowed to live that persona anymore. To stay free, you have to evolve. What makes the situation truly tragic is a ripple effect it creates across his community and his fan base. When young people watch someone get a second chance and then lose it, it risks sending the message that change isn't possible even when it absolutely is. Pooh Shiesty had the platform to show kids in Memphis and cities just like it that you can come from the streets, make mistakes, pay your debt to society, and still build something real and legitimate. Instead, he's now becoming another cautionary tale, an example of what not to do after being given a second chance. The financial fallout alone is massive. He was generating serious income through streaming revenue, live performances, brand partnerships. Everything stops the moment you're locked back up. His team, his family, and everyone who depended on his success are now left in limbo while he finishes the remainder of his sentence. Then there's the legal side of it. Federal cases don't come cheap. His family likely already spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on attorneys to get his sentence reduced the first time around. If additional issues arise, or if he chooses to contest a parole violation, that financial burden could restart all over again. The label situation adds yet another layer of complexity. Record labels invest heavily in artists with the expectation of long-term returns. When an artist violates parole and ends up back behind bars, that investment immediately becomes unstable. Some labels have clauses allowing them to walk away entirely, while others may stay involved but freeze projects indefinitely. What makes this situation especially painful is just how avoidable it all was. The rules weren't complicated. Be home when you're supposed to be. Stay away from weapons. Don't associate with known criminals. And don't glorify illegal activity while you're still under federal supervision. Following those basic conditions